CTO at BitPesa, which is basically a digital FX and treasury payment platform for the frontier market. So today, I think I'll spend maybe a few minutes just walking you guys through our markets, kind of our customer segment, and most of our product, and open up the question if you guys are curious about kind of blockchain adoption and general kind of development in our market. So, so everyone know that, as you can guess, that moving money in frontier market is not easy. Primarily, it's expensive and it takes a long time. So usually it takes between 5 to 7 days sometimes to send a simple bank transfer from Europe to our market in Nigeria and Kenya. The cost can also be quite high, so it can be upward anywhere between 7% to 15%. And the reason why BitPesa exists is basically resolved to solve this kind of inefficiency in the market that we see. Primarily in Africa, but we are really actually, also just any frontier market. So the reason why the international money transfer is so painful in our market is due to kind of this correspondent banking network that traditional financial institutions use to send payment cross-border. So if you're sending payment from Germany to Nigeria, the payment doesn't go directly from your bank to Diamond Bank in Nigeria. It actually goes to a third party in the US. So over almost 40% of the payment actually route their way from the from Europe over to the US. And it has to be converted first to US dollars before it can actually be settled in local African currency. So you can imagine that extra hop of, say Europe to USD conversion with correspondent bank delayed for a few days and finally settled in your recipient's account in Nigeria take quite a bit of time, and there's extra fee involved. And that's a common problem basically we see across the continent. It's not just sub-Saharan Africa, it actually inherent in North Africa and other part of Africa as well. So what we came in basically 4 years ago is to build a digital FX hub for our region. So we started out in Kenya, where we opened up local bank accounts, and then we quickly expand to Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, and Senegal as well. And we basically enable anyone who wants to send payment to and from Africa to use our digital platform. And we build our settlement mechanism on the Bitcoin blockchain primarily, but we're basically chain agnostic. We're happy to use any digital currency, but we started out with Bitcoin blockchain because it's the most liquid all digital currency, at least when we started 4 years ago. And we managed to basically connect, as you can see, a couple major currency, basically the top G20 currency, and also a few more exotic currency, I guess you can say that, from Latin America and also UAE as well. So before I go into our product flow, I just maybe spend a few minutes on mobile money. So how many of you guys have heard about mobile money in Africa or Asia? Okay, so quite a few. So I mean, it's basically, for those of you who's not as familiar, basically it's a very, very popular payment mechanism in our market. So it's basically a mobile wallet that you can store in your phone, either iPhone, your basic phone as well. And you can use it to send, store, and receive money. Popular provider in our market is basically MTN, which is a major telco across Africa. M-Pesa is probably the best known example in Kenya. And we also have Airtel as the other player. But basically, the adoption is quite wide. And it's not just P2P payment, actually. You can actually pay school fees, pay electric bill, and as a merchant, you can also collect payment. So it's actually, the first use case is basically this intermediate bank account. So for those users in Kenya or Nigeria who doesn't have access to a bank account, mobile money become like an alternative for them to transact basically digitally. And this is like, way back before Venmo and other P2P service you see in US, for instance. So it's one case where the emerging market can lead the way in terms of payment innovation. So as I mentioned, adoption is quite wide. this is 40% across Sub-Saharan, but actually the adoption rate is much higher in market like Kenya with M-Pesa and a few other providers. So with that, let me walk you through what our product actually do and the basic payment flow. So say you're like a European company that needs to send payment to Uganda, for instance. What you do is you basically make a payment, a local euro payment to a local euro bank account, usually held by our licensed broker in Europe. Or we also have our own, we also have bank account you can use. And we basically guarantee your exchange rate. And as your FX broker, will guarantee settlement within 1 to 2 days to your bank of choice in Uganda or Nigeria or Senegal. And we also offer mobile money payment option for certain payment company that requires that. And where the Bitcoin blockchain comes in is more on the settlement piece. So if you're a company that's comfortable with using digital currency, you can pay us, Bitcoin or other digital asset. We can settle directly to African account, or we can also trade in euro as well, whichever way you choose. The other way is actually more interesting to me personally because there's lots of trade, as you know, between Asia and Africa, for instance. So if you're an African company that need to pay supplier in Japan or China for car, for instance, you basically sign up for a BitPesa account, goes through the right onboarding process, send local currency, Nigerian naira, Uganda shilling, into our bank account, and then we'll get a legal price. And we have licensed broker in China and Japan who trade in digital currency. And we basically were able to settle with them in digital currency, and they can pay our local bank account. So the key here is basically, from a regulatory perspective, it's very useful for these companies to be able to settle in local currencies because you're not trading in G20 currency, which can be a touchy subject in Nigeria, for instance. If, say, a Nigerian company wants to send payment overseas, if you have to convert to US dollars and then send it to Japan, get access to the US dollars is not always available, and also it can be very sensitive for basically that conversion to happen. So we basically allow local currency transaction, and also kind of provide that faster, cheaper settlement across border. So just kind of going deeper into kind of our customer segments and our cost advantage. So on the left-hand side, you see this is kind of our core market. So we started out as a retail play actually for friends to send payment or families to send payment to each other. But then in the last few years, we decided to go more toward brokerage rate. So most of our clients is actually companies, including import-exporter, global commercial company, and also money transfer companies that use us as a payment provider. And what we offer to our client is basically shorter settlement time. So usually within a day, in most cases, because we use a digital platform. Our fee is also lower, so between 1% to 3%. So, and if you go through regular bank routes, usually, like I said, it's between anywhere upward of 5%, and the time can be quite long. And then we also help certain companies to avoid using black market, which even though they're fast, it's not compliant in most cases, and then it's also cash-based, which many companies obviously are trying to move away from. So I guess a quick case study on a money transfer service provider that we work with. So basically, this is like a big US company that have a lot of customers in Africa. And a lot of these customers use both mobile money and bank account. And what they need is actually kind of instant settlement into local bank account. They don't want any exposure to local African currency. So we basically work with them to integrate their system into our system via API, and then kind of process all the transaction via API. So we can actually guarantee a rate for them on a daily basis, and then also help them settle within a day. So just to give you guys some background on kind of our company's growth trajectory overall. So we started out in Kenya back like 4 years ago, And then back in the day, I think we're the first Bitcoin company in Kenya, and there's lots of regulatory challenge and teaching people about what is digital currency, what is Bitcoin. And if I was just at Nairobi a week ago, and the ecosystem has changed so much. There's Bitcoin exchange popping up all over the place. There's a blockchain workshops. Our formal employees are heading up, become like local blockchain celebrities, I guess. So the ecosystem has actually grown. And if you go to Lagos, you drive over the highway, you actually see a big Bitcoin sign, like outside of, I guess, between Victoria Island and Nairobi, which is crazy pretty. But then that market had also kind of blown up in the last year. I see the transaction volume is like in the hundreds of, incredibly, like close to 100 million or something. And this is just like recorded data. So the market has grown, and we have grown with it. But in any case, for us, we definitely saw the transaction volume. We raised money primarily through venture funding, like Katharina Capital, Digital Currency Group, and also BreakRock recently in the last round. And I'm personally based kind of between Berlin and Luxembourg. Our top code used to be in Southern Africa, but now we're kind of in Europe. And then we have our FCA license, which is, as you guys, you're in the industry, you know, license is everything. So we are fully compliant to FCA, and my developers and product managers are all based in London. Sorry, I think the graphic is probably not coming soon, but just a quick work on like compliance and regulatory, which is really important for any Bitcoin company and also payment company. We're established in Luxembourg and have FCA license and actively work with local African governments on kind of digital currency regulation. So in Nigeria, we're sitting in the central bank's digital currency kind of advisory council, and we kind of try to talk to the local regulatory, I guess, staff, whatever possible, to grow the market that we go through. So that's kind of my presentation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to, I can open up the remainder of time for questions. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any question about our market or our product. And also, quick plug, I'm hiring basically interns and analysts for my team. So if anyone is interested in Bitcoin blockchain product, just let me know afterwards.